Hi, welcome again to this lecture of Kuala Lumpur Global Technopreneurship Challenge 2016. Today, we will talk about what is technopreneurship, the entrepreneurial ecosystem, CDIO for the market, and what do you have to do at the end of this lecture. So, technopreneurship is using technology and entrepreneurial skills to make a difference by adding value and reaching new levels of performance. And that means that we can use both the challenges that are thrown at us and the entrepreneurial and the business skills so that we convert these challenges into opportunities through resolving them and unlocking the value within them. We live in a world with many technological challenges. We call them the grand challenges. The National Academy of Engineering has identified 14 of them, as a matter of fact. And the reason why we are having this event and this competition worldwide is to try to put some solution to resolve them. At the same time, we are living in a very interesting time where we have some great technological advancement that could really give us a real shot at unlocking the value in these grand challenges. These include mobile technology. In no point in history we had so many of us connected through mobile devices, through mobile phones, and this gives us a huge amount of opportunities that we could realize. Big data is the data that we create as we perform our daily tasks, as we search the internet, as we go through medical checkups and so on and so forth. And now, again, we have the tools that allow us to look into big data and detect trends and see how we can convert challenges into opportunities. 3D printing is one of the technologies that is also changing the world, where we can print almost anything. Local Motors have printed the first car. We are talking about printing entire buildings and printing even body parts. So there are machines that could print biological parts that could become scaffolding for our ears or for dental implants and things like that. Internet of Things is another great technological trend where everything in 10 to 15 years, or almost everything that we deal with, is going to be connected to the internet. So imagine our fridge is connected to the internet, our cars are connected to the internet, and so on, so forth. Crowdfunding and crowdsourcing are some of the amazing things that we could do today that we were unable to do only a decade ago. And this is how we could use the crowds, everyone around the world, as a source of financing, but also as a source of doing work for us. One of the models that allow us to visualize how technology is changing the way we do things is the 6D model. The 6D stand for digitization, deception, disruption, demonetization, dematerialization, and eventually democratization. And digitization is when something, a product or a service, can become digital. Think about it, the pictures, the photography, and the first time we managed to have a digital camera. That's the step when the picture or the photography is digitized. In the beginning, there was a lot of hope and hype about this technology, but for a while, the development in that technology was a bit slow. And that's the deception part, because as things move on, in the beginning, they move very slow. And many people thought that digital photography will never pick up. Then, when enough technological advancement happens, disruption happens almost overnight. Every one of us start to use digital photography. The shops that used to develop the pictures for us went out of business, and all the analog cameras that we have, we threw them away. We don't use them anymore. And that's very, very disruptive. Now, the next step is when the digital pictures, the digital images became free. There's no money involved. I still remember the time where before we go for a picnic or holiday, we buy the rolls, the film rolls, and they come in 24 and 36 pictures. And we used to think very, very well before taking a picture because it was a limited resource. Now it's free. Using my phone, wherever I go, I take as many pictures I want, and then I will probably look at them and decide which one I would like to keep later. Dematerialization, and I'm still continuing with the photography example, happens when you don't need the camera anymore. So now the camera is embedded within maybe the phones that we are using and other devices. And finally, democratization, when some technology few years ago or a few decades ago were available only to the rich and powerful, now is available to every one of us. Now, you think about it, what has happened to the photography has happened to many other things, including maps and other things as well. Now, imagine when you look at any product and service, ask yourself this simple question: can I digitize it? Can I digitize part of it? The moment you can digitize something, then the next steps of deception, disruption, demonetization, dematerialization, democratization will happen. I give you just another example. You look at taxi rides. So this is, many of us need taxis to move from point A to point B. What can we digitize? We can digitize the part where we get the connection with the taxi. Look at how Uber is doing business. The moment they digitize it, then they actually disrupted the entire market. Now, what is next for Uber is the demonetization. Imagine, can you make the taxi ride free? Think about it. The environment in which business value is created and delivered is also called the business model. And today, we want to give you an example of this business model that we call the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And the entrepreneurial ecosystem, as you could see, has the value proposition at its heart, and everything around it is about creating this value and delivering it to the customer. I'll go through the different components of the ecosystem one by one. One of the most important things, or the most important things of any entrepreneurial or technopreneurial ecosystem is the customer. We need to ask ourselves, who is our customer? What does our customer value? What are these customers wanting, and what are they willing to pay for? And we can look at customers in different ways. So we can look at them as being part of a mass market, or a niche market, or a segmented market, or a diversified market. The mass market happens if the service or the product that we are producing is used by everyone. Think sliced bread. So this is something that many people use. Niche market is if our service or product is directed towards a very small specialized group of people or individuals. So think medical or health equipment. So these are used only by very highly specialized people. Segmented market is when people think airlines. So you can fly in the same airplane, but at the same time you have people who are willing or able to pay for the economy class. Towards the front of the airplane, there will be people who will be interested in business class or first class. While it's the same service, basically, you are taking people from point A to point B. You have segmented market and customers who are willing and able to pay different prices. The diversified market is when you have a product or a company that can sell variety of things. Maybe think Samsung, how they can make things from the fridge to the air conditioning unit to phones. Value proposition is another extremely important thing. So after we have identified who our customers are, we need to ask ourselves, what do these customers want? What are they willing to pay for? And that's the value proposition, which can be identified based on newness. So if you can offer something that is entirely new, performance. If you can offer something that not necessarily new, but better than the existing product. Price or cost reduction, and that's when you are able to deliver similar or even better service at a lower price. Simply getting the job done. So just if I pick an example of a mobile phone, someone just wants a phone that can call and send messages. Design. Sometimes the customer value how well the product is designed. Brand. At times we are willing to pay more money, higher price, just to get the brand that we like. And risk reduction is where the product is basically to just reduce the risk that the customer is facing. Think insurance. Now the channels is how we get the value proposition, the product or the service to our customer. Not only the service or the product itself, but also how does the customer know about the existence of this service or product. So under channels, we have channels for creating awareness, marketing. Evaluation is when we give some free part of the product or the service so that our customers could evaluate it. Purchase is how we enable our customers to pay for the service or the product that we are offering. Delivery is how are we going to deliver this service or product. And after sales is how can we service and continue the good experience of our customers even after we have sold the product or delivered the service. Customer service is also about maintaining that relationship, updating our customers, upgrading the devices or the products that we have sold to them. Revenue and cost is the lifeline of the technopreneurial ecosystem. So that's how we make money and how we can pay for the things that go into creating the value proposition. So it has two main things to it. Revenue is how does the business obtain its income? And the cost is what does the business spend on so that it can create and deliver the value proposition. The revenue minus the cost equals the profit. And often businesses want to maximize the revenue and reduce the cost so that they have a high profit. The revenue happens from or is generated from asset sale. So if you have something physical or non-physical that you could sell. Usage fee is when you have some channels that the customer could utilize and they pay as they use. Subscription fee is when you are providing the service for a certain fee. Think some of us who pay money to get the satellite TV service. Renting, if you have something that can be rented for a while, you could rent a house, you could rent a car. Licensing is when you allow the customer to utilize your let's say intellectual property so they could use that license. Brokerage fee is when you help the customer receive a certain service and then you take a fee for that. The revenue structure happen in a different ways. So you either have a low cost kind of business. So example of that would be the low cost carrier, or it could be a variable cost. And that's the example for this would be a premium airline that has both economy class, business class, and also first class. Freemium is when you offer the certain part of your service for free to majority of the customers, but those who would like to receive a high-end services or a different type of service, they need to pay for it. So for example, when you go and do a Google search, Google doesn't charge you any money. But if you want to do advertisement on Google, then you have to pay money. Revenue structure also requires the economy of scale. So if we could come together and purchase in bulk, we can reduce our cost. Resources, what does the business require to deliver the value? So imagine if the value proposition is an apple. So the resources would be the tree that we have, the water, the fertilizer, and so on and so forth, that eventually gives us a very beautiful and healthy apple. Resources can be physical resources, intellectual resources, human resources, and financial resources. So physical resources would be the factory that you will need. The intellectual resources is the ideas, the patents, the plans of how to make and deliver the value proposition. Human resources is the people who will do it, and financial resources is simply money. Business activities is what does the business do to create value? And this could be either manufacturing or production if you are having a physical product, or it could be solution provision. So if you are in consultancy, or it could be the other services if your business is to deliver a service like haircut or tailoring or anything like that. Partners are business entities that will assist us in the growth of our business. So this includes strategic alliances between non-competitors. For example, your company may be making mobile phones and want to sell them online, but you need a partnership with a courier company so that they could send your product to your customer. Competition is when you cooperate even with your competitor so that you could have a better deal, let's say, from the policymakers. Joint ventures is where companies come together to produce and deliver even a newer and a higher, better value proposition. Buyer-supplier relationships are the simplest. So you buy components and services that will go into your value proposition that you will deliver eventually to your customers. Competitors are a reality of life, and they are an important part of the entrepreneurial and technopreneurial ecosystem. So we always need to think, who is our competitor? What can they offer to our customers? What competitive advantage do they have over us? And what would we do if we were the competitors? So that awareness of the existence of the competitor will always push us to deliver a better value for our customers. The business environment is another important component, and business environment could be favorable for business to grow, or it may be not favorable at the moment. So we need to be aware of the prevalent market conditions, the legislative system for the business is operating in, and what are the opportunities and challenges in that environment, and what are the threats. So in a nutshell, as you could see, we have here our technopreneurial ecosystem where everything works together so that the value proposition is delivered to our customers through the appropriate channels. Now I would like to talk about something very important, which is CDIO for the market. In a previous lecture, we talked about how do we create products and services, and we call the framework that we operate within CDIO, and that stands for conceive, design, implement, and operate. And I would like to speak again here about the importance of conceiving at the moment we are thinking of the new product or service for the market, designing what we are designing, thinking of the market and thinking of our customers, implementing, building the value while thinking of the market and the customer, and even operating and delivering the value, thinking of the customer and of the market. So it's not good to just complete the product or the service and then see how we add the marketing to it as an afterthought. So how do we conceive, design, implement, and operate for the market? At the conceiving stage, we need to ensure that the idea that we are talking about is economically viable. And that's to be able to form a part of a sustainable business model. It has to be technologically feasible, which means the technology that we need is either available or expected to be available soon. The product or the service we are coming up with has to be desirable by the customer. The customer has to like it and want it. And it has to be environmentally sustainable. So when we intersect all these things, the viability, the feasibility, desirability, and sustainability, the intersection of all these would be something that is definitely great, definitely able to deliver some good, needed, wanted value to the customer at the right price. So what do you have to do now? We would like you to come up with the entrepreneurial ecosystem for the business idea that you came up with, and you need to specifically determine how the solution is economically viable, technologically feasible, desirable by your customer segment, and also sustainable. Thank you very much.